Y'all might be surprised, but the Cowboy is cooking oysters today from the sea and Rocky Mountain style. Y'all stick around, you're going to enjoy this. Stopping by the backyard. My name is Cowboy Kent Rollins, and what do? A lot of grilling, a lot of Dutch oven cooking. Woo! And are we in for a treat today because fall is in the air, and I had my good friend Joe Parlanti deliver to me Pony Express. What is it, folks? Oysters. Yes, I am talking East Coast oysters. Can I get in them? But you want to make sure you stick around to the entire end of this video because we're going to show you 3 ways to cook them. Oysters from the sea on the grill. Oysters from the sea baked. Oysters from the prairie. Cat fries, Rocky Mountain oysters. Woo. Well, folks, I have got me a dozen of these oysters. They come from the East Coast, right off there at Norwalk, Connecticut. So, it's shucking time. Now, I have shucked corn. I have. But I ain't never shucked me an oyster. So, y'all are probably in for like a 2.5 hour I might get it done video. Smoother side and a dished side. You want to always put the dish side down when you're trying to open one of these rascals. You want to start at this side down here, the hinge side. Now if you got one of them good oyster shucking knives, you might can get in them other places, but you're more apt to get a chip in there is what you're going to do. So get you a tea towel, cup towel, something, so you don't be cutting your fingers plumb off. This does not work. I have learned from past experiences you can smear butter with it, but you can't hardly shuck an oyster with it. Screwdrivers don't work, but this little bitty knife with this sharp point does because we got to cut that little muscle in there to get all that loose. We're going to put our little knife in there and just keep rocking back and forth and just keep prying. Let's see, will the door open and if anybody is home. Go ahead and just cut that off right there. Isn't that a pretty creature? Woo! And they is good. So bear with me as the Cowboy cleans the rest of the oysters and we can get this process underway. I'm going to take me a half a stick of butter that is softened. Mix me in some red pepper flakes, 2 cloves of garlic that I squeezed in there with my new garlic doomaflachi. Stir it all up really well. Well, folks, the grill is hot and cleaned. I'm gonna go ahead and open this up just a tad, and this and a tad down here on the bottom. It has been oiled and ready to go because you want it really hot. Well, as soon as you get them on the fire and you can get this bowl of mixed butter, it's got them little spices in it, go ahead, folks, and drop you some in there. And if it runs over, that ain't gonna do nothing but help, because it's going to add a little flame to that fire. So butter, and you can see how that one's frying pretty good there at the back. So we may have to rearrange him, but see how that flame's licking up there? That ain't going to do nothing but help the flavor, folks. Shut the door. Let's don't look at it, and we're going to let her go about 3 or 4 more minutes. This little rascal right here is ahead of all the rest of the contestants. So we're going to move him right over here. This one here is going to be next, so I'm just going to go ahead and get him right now and put him there. The reason, folks, you can tell when these is done, you can see the browning taking place there from the heat on the shell, but also them oysters will plump a little and get a little puffy. We're going to wait till them edges get just a little brown to them, but I need to shut the door to keep in some of the heat. Some of that good Parmesan cheese. However much you want to put on there is fine and dandy. And they come with their own little bowls. You want to be careful because you slap one of them hot ones in your mouth and bite down. If you got tonsils, you ain't going to have them no more. I promise you that. Pardon me, Joe. That is the
oyster shuffle?
The happy oyster shuffle. The red pepper gives it a little bite, it does. And whew, these things is so good. Can you see that bite, Shan? Them 2 little red eyes looking at you there. Now this next way is in the broiler. And it is oh so easy. So what you gonna start with? a little of this here spray first. Make sure you get this muffin pan all sprayed well. Everything tastes better on a Ritz cracker. And look how they just fit right there in that muffin pan. What goes next, Shan? Some pepper jack cheese. Now folks, you can sprinkle a little or a lot. I just like to make sure that there Ritz cracker is covered up well by this method. I took me 2 slices of bacon and cut them in about 1-inch strips, cooked them about half done. I'm gonna lay them right there in that cheese, sort of give them just a little mash. The oyster. And folks, if that little juice runs in there, it ain't doing nothing but helping us out. Try to keep him centered right over the top of that bacon. You can go ahead and cut him around there, get him all loose. Well, last thing that comes up, thinly sliced jalapeno. Go right on top, he does. We have preheated the broiler on high. We're gonna put these directly under that broiler flame, and we're gonna let them go 5 to 6 minutes. They too will puff up. You will see some things happening. The cheese will melt really good. We're gonna pull them out of there, give them a little more cheese, put them back in, let it get good and toasted, and then we're gonna eat them. What's in the oven? Are you an oyster dog? It's probably time to look at them. You don't get up here, you'll burn your tongue off. I don't Shan to zoom in here. So many of you folks says, why don't Shan get a bite?
I was doing a beauty shot.
Folks, she got a bite. She did. She was first. You want to cut around all the way because you got to get to the, look at that cheesy goodness. First of all, that Ritz cracker is going to give it some buttery taste down there in the bottom. Then you're going to get that heat from the jalapeno, which gives it a little kick. But the salty taste of that oyster, oh, folks, these are so good. I would recommend that you eat them 3 times a day. Don't quit me now. Stick around, because coming up next, what is it? Rocky Mountain oysters, or prairie oysters, calf fries. Ooh, they are a delectable dish that has been in my family forever and ever. And on a ranch, it is so much a tradition that when the cowboys are castrating calves, they bring them back. We use them as hors d'oeuvres sometimes during works, but whew, folks, they are so good. What do we start with first? You folks that are squeamish, turn away and don't look now. I'm talking calf fries. The outer membrane has already been took off, and these have been washed several times. Grip it in your hand, but folks, it helps if these are partially frozen. They clean a little better. Now give it just a little squeeze, take your knife and run right down the top of that and cut. We're going to cut all the way to the back side of the membrane. Then all you're going to do is just peel it out. But when they're about half frozen, they clean so much easier. Always be sure you put these in a colander and rinse them really well. We ain't gonna leave them this size. I like to cut them in sort of bite-sized pieces. They fry so much better and they're easier to cook. But after we got them drained, we're gonna dump them out here and let them drain a little more on this paper towel. While this is taking place, we are preheating some good canola oil to around 350 degrees to fry with. Well folks, it is time to get the dry ingredients mixed well. I don't use a wet with this. Half a cup of flour. What is going on over there, Shan? The dishwashing cycle is running, I guess. Hey Big, quiet on the set. We used a cup of yellow cornmeal. Then I'm gonna add a teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. We're going to mix this really well. What do we got here? A sleeve of them saltine crackers. We're just going to crumble them. So, get them all in there. I like to take my hands now to this point and just go to working that in them cracker crumbs a little better, getting them a little finer than what they were. I like to take a few at a time and don't just drop them all together. I want you to separate them because they will try to cling to each other if they get a chance. And then just sort of work them with your hand. And then when you think that maybe so they're all covered, they're not. Give them a little squeeze together with that stuff on them. And I'm going to set the first contestant right there. Let's get these fellers in that hot grease. You want to be careful that you don't burn them, so we might be running just a tad lower than 350. And as you drop them in there, you do remember them are going to cool that oil off just a little. So we're going to give them just a little stirring and a little rolling over to make everybody be happy. Now this does bring back a bunch of memories for me, because me and my dad used to work cattle along with a lot of other old timers, and they might save up 30, 40 pounds of these and break out one of them big old black wash pots, 30 quart, stoke that thing up with some good old hog lard, I mean fresh, and fry these and potatoes, and that's all we had. And it was a meal fit for a king. So we got to have something to dip them with, and it ain't just ketchup. So I'm going to use 1/4 of a cup of ketchup, a 1/2 cup of mayonnaise, 2 teaspoons of horseradish. Now we're going to mix this really well, and you can salt and pepper it to your taste, but I usually don't, because it's going to have enough goodness all in its own. See this here where it ain't crispy and golden yet? It ain't quite there yet, so make sure it gets rolled over. It's bite-sized pieces like this, maybe 4 minutes at the most, 4 to 5, stirring occasionally. Oysters the third way, folks, just like I told you. So you can see them cracker crumbs, how they stayed on there? It gives it that extra crunch. So what we're going to do, dip them in that Shannon sauce. Woo! Thank you, Daddy, my mother, all them old timers that taught me how to rope work cattle and cook a calf fries. These here is probably my favorite. It's got a good crunch on that crust. When you mix it with that sauce there, it's got that horseradish in there for the bite. You can't go wrong. I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy day to watch our videos. Have a little shout out this week to a friend of mine. It's Kent Areola. Kent teaches school. Sometimes he tells me the kids don't want to learn about history, so they watch our videos and learn about cooking. So hey, you kids better pay attention to that teacher, because he knows what he's talking about. So hello to Mr. Areola's homeroom class. And I got to thank Joe Parlani again for sending me them oysters. Be sure, folks, share the food, because the world needs good neighbors. It does. Share our videos, because we love for everybody to see them. Hit the subscribe button. God bless you, each and every one. We hope you have a great day above the grass, and I will see you down the Oyster Trail.